What's up? This is Eric Adelaide. I wanted to let everybody know why I decided to invest in the Fuji X-T3 system. Number one, I'm coming from using Nikon cameras for my entire life. I started out with the Nikon N75, which is a film camera. Then after that, I progressed to the Nikon D200. The Nikon D200 served me pretty well. Had a really good time with that camera. I had a lot of time to grow with that camera. Then I moved on to the Nikon D800. The Nikon D800 was my first full frame camera. Very good camera, although I had some issues with that camera. I was having streaks on the raw files. Had to send the camera back twice to Nikon to get repaired. Then as soon as the D810 came out, I purchased it. I didn't even think twice about buying that camera. As soon as it came out, bought the camera and the battery grip. I've been using that camera for several years now. And I decided to, eventually, I needed another camera because I got rid of the D800 and I traded that in for the Sony a7 II. And I had a Sony a7 II. It was a pretty good camera, although there were some things about the controls that I didn't like. That was my biggest gripe with that camera, was the controls. That was probably the biggest issue. So eventually I traded that camera in for the Nikon 85mm f1.4G lens, which I love. That is a really good portrait lens. So at that time I only had one camera, the D810, but I wanted a second camera body because it's always good to have multiple camera bodies, but I didn't want to get another Sony camera. So I did some research. I really liked what I was seeing with photographers using the Fujifilm cameras, and I wanted to give it a try. Now I was on the fence about buying the X-H1 or the Fujifilm X-T3. The reason why I went with the X-T3 is because it has all the new technology in it. I did want something that did have IBIS in it, but I didn't want to get the Fujifilm X-H1 because the technology, everything except the IBIS, was pretty much old. I'm pretty pleased with the Fuji X-T3 so far. I'm getting used to the controls. That's probably the biggest thing that I'm dealing with right now, is transitioning from using my D810, which I can shoot with. I know all the camera controls on that camera, to moving over to the Fuji X-T3. It's been a little bit challenging as I learn the controls. I've been going out doing some street photography, mainly using the camera just to take pictures, get familiar with how it feels in my hand. I do have the battery grip on it, which helps a lot. I have big hands, I'm a tall guy, so I definitely buy the camera grips for all of my cameras whenever they are available. I'm pretty pleased with how the files are looking. The color science with the Fuji, JPEGs and the RAWs look pretty amazing straight out of the camera. I really don't have any complaints. I do wish the camera was bigger, but I know the X-T3 is a smaller camera. So as soon as the Fujifilm X-H2 comes out, I'm going to be buying that camera. I'm going to add that to my camera bag. Right now, I just have the 16 to 55mm f2.8 lens for the Fujifilm, as well as the 56mm f1.2 lens. Haven't done any portrait sessions yet with the camera. I still want to get real familiar with the controls on it before I decide to start doing a few portrait sessions. Also, I need to pick up a trigger for it. I'm using the Godox 8200 mainly now, and I love that strobe. It's a pretty good strobe. It's nice and small, very compact, about the size of a speed light, a little bit bigger, but it really packs a punch. Lots of light, 200 watts. Can't go wrong with it. I have the trigger for that for the Nikon. So I'm going to pick up the trigger for the Fujifilm camera as well. And as I continue to practice with the X-T3, eventually I'll start doing some shoots with it to really put it through the paces and adapt my shooting style to the camera. Take care. Check out Eric Adelaide Photography on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Eric Adelaide, EricAdeleye. That's all one word. And also on my alternative Instagram is EHA1990. Take care.